Welcome, people, to the very first ever Hydrogen podcast. And who better to have on as our first guest than the director himself, Kelsey Hydro Miller. To his left, we have
Danielle de Vito Halevy.
And my name is Vinu J. And yeah, so today, Kelsey, you're going to be quizzed a little bit. I hope you're ready. We have some questions that are easier and some that are harder. So let's start with something simple. When did you start hydrogen?
When did I start hydrogen? I started originally in 2020, late 2020, in October. I was doing Zoom classes during the year, and yeah, I believe I wanted to just create a space for people to dance online at home, and then it came to I think it was September or October when we was able to go back into the studio, and I was like, I'm going to the studio to just train and just do my thing, kind of work on freestyle, choreography, and I'm pretty sure I posted something on Instagram, was like, guys, I'm going to the studio, I'm working on freestyle, I'm working on my fitness, working on choreo. If you want to come join me, by all means, you're welcome to come through. Either way, I'm going there to just train. And I had a couple people hit me up and basically come and join me pretty much. So it was a Thursday afternoon. I was just training for 2 hours, nothing too long. And then that became a weekly occurrence for 2-3 months. And it got to basically end of December. I was like, this has become a regular thing, so maybe I should continue it in the new year. So when it got to 2021, that's when I was like, I might give this a name. And that's when I named it Hydrogen, which we'll probably talk about later on. But it was just to basically put a stamp on the fact that I'm creating a training space to, one, work on choreography, freestyle, and just have a hub to just, lab, really. So that was the main reason. That's why I started it. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Who were the people that were joining at the beginning? Was it, like you said, there was choreo, lab, freestyle? What were the kind of elements and the kind of people within those?
It was mainly people from class. So I was teaching them bass at the time for 2 years. So it was some people from bass. It was some people that I've trained with throughout my career, friends. Some were just completely random, people that I've wanted to take my class but couldn't make it, for example. And because I was doing a session around 2 p.m, it was for basically people or dancers that are unemployed. So it was if you ain't got a job, you can come train with me. So it was 2 hours midday. And if it was people that necessarily didn't want to go in the industry but just wanted to lab or just be in the space, it was them kind of people pretty much. And again, everyone with different levels. It was never a thing of it has to be intermediate or advanced, nothing like that. It was more so those that want to just work on the things that I'm working on pretty much. And then it became not just about me, but everyone in the space pretty much. So yeah, it was them kind of people.
I have a follow-up to that.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
COVID times were really different. What was the kind of energy and what were the freestyle stories, what was coming out in those rooms compared to, for example, what we're doing in a cypher or something in class or today?
That's valid. Because in terms of energy wise, I wanted to go back to the roots of why we wanted to dance, and the main thing was to enjoy the dance. And I think when I finished in 2019, I did a production based on the 5 levels of grief. And a lot of grief was happening in that year as well. So I think the lead on into 2020 being such a great start, and then lockdown happened, it became a thing of celebrating life and just enjoying being able to dance. If you was, even though none of us were working, it was let's enjoy music, let's enjoy dance, let's enjoy the community, people that you don't know. Zoom being the savior for our industry, literally kept everyone in touch. So when it came to coming to the studio, it was let's just dance to tracks that we like, or let's just freestyle. It was more so just get in the space. There was never really an agenda of I want to work on this piece for this intention, nothing like that. It was just more so feel free. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of opened the space, just allowing us to speak, but in dance, pretty much. So that was the main reason, anyways.
So that's kind of the vision of hydrogen towards the beginning, you'd say. Now that we're at such a different scale, you know, going from initially a collective to now a company even, how would you say the vision of hydrogen has kind of evolved? And even how do you see it evolving in the future, if you do?
I see it evolving, especially now being 5 years deep. It's more so kind of setting a tone that when I originally started, it's kind of pushing that same energy on the people that have now started now. So it's not I don't want to necessarily force people to be in the same space I was back then, kind of thing. Same way I don't want to force people, the new students, to be in the same space with the students that were trained with me back then as well. It's more so getting an introduction like this into like why the space has been created, to kind of feel the love for dance, understand if you want to get better, there's a template, there's a formula that has to be done to get to the next level. But I guess there's more of a structure now because there's so many people to feed, if that makes sense. And I don't think where when I first started it was very, very like this week we'll do it, this week we won't do it. Like I told myself I need to do it every single week. Like I have to show up every single week. I've got to make sure that there's a plan, there's a vision towards why this week I'm doing this, or if I'm doing freestyle or doing a style or bringing this person in, there has to be a reason why I'm doing it. So the why became a lot bigger the more the years went on, if that makes sense. Whereas when I first started, it was more so it's just how am I gonna go train, how am I gonna do this. Whereas now we figured out how, it's now why are we doing it, kind of thing. And it's just now questioning the people that are in the space to why are you in hydrogen, why do you want to get better, why do you want to do these shows, like why do you want to be in the path of us, basically. It's just kind of creating that, basically, as the group gets bigger.
It must be tricky now that we have so many different people to sort of cater to the range of levels and experiences in the room. And I guess that leads to why we now have like a H1, a H2, a H3. And for those who have been, you know, seeing on our stories but don't really know what it is, you know, would you want to explain and go into some detail as to like, well, what are the groups and what kind of expectations you have out of people who are coming to the different ones?
Valid. So yeah, we have a system H1, H2, H3. I mean, when it came to like obviously hydrogen, and just if we're looking like literally H1 being the hydrogen element, like coding, it's kind of setting the first element, the first crew, the first time using hydrogen as a name. But as time went on, obviously having the why of like what we're trying to do, I'm trying to make sure I facilitate the space to the people in the room. And I think that's what became a lot harder the more you have more abilities in the space, or not even abilities, but more so like journeys of where people want to go in their dance. Some people can be very serious about the dance but not necessarily want to be in the industry. Some maybe just starting out in dance but want to get in the industry. So it's kind of making sure like everyone's path is facilitated in the right space, in the right way, and have the right resources to make sure that they can actually get the most out of their 3 hours in that week. So H1 being I put my advanced to intermediate, advanced mainly group. So that's like my highest group. It's those that want to either be in industry or are peaking in, let's say, their last like in their goal setting from the previous, say, term, and they're showing me something that I can push or elaborate on, whether it showcases visual artistry, teaching, facilitating, mentoring, if it's in some of them kind of spaces, but there's more of a mature mentality towards their approach. But the level wise, it's give me more advanced. If there's intermediate, there's a lot of potential, basically. My H2 is my actual intermediate group, and it's again those that are either, for me personally, either strong in their freestyle or very strong in their choreography, but it's kind of like, again, what's next kind of thing. It's like with the freestyle, we're trying to freestyle on stage? Are we trying to battle? Are we trying to be more artistic with it? If it's a choreography, are we doing choreography for stage, for camera? Are we trying to perform more? Are we trying to like, what is the aim in terms of like branding, from a branding point of view, if we're trying to make it serious, if we're trying to get to H1? If not, if it's more of a journey thing, is H2 are like the elite H3, the people that want to be more serious with their dance, want to take it further. That's H2 pretty much. And H3 is my start-offs, people that are just starting out in hydrogen. It's those that are finding their feet. Maybe they're just starting hip-hop for the first time or starting a style for the first time. It's giving introduction, but also like the very beginning, it's those that want to just dance. Personally, like I wanted to kind of keep that in the space of like people that want to come to the studio and just be free, be joyful, be challenged. Like it's never going to be easy, but it's a place where you can actually like still be challenged in your craft, still see your friends. You can still have a space to just play and kind of get away from the world, like from what you're naturally doing on a daily basis. It's to have that freedom that we had when I had it in lockdown. It's like there's a lot going on. Let's go to studio and just train. So that's what H3 ideally is what it's meant to be about. Yeah.
Can I just add, like, from my experience, because I'm in H3. And I'm just like remembering like I think it was my first session that I came in, and we had done house, and I think that was like my first time doing house as well. And I was feeling so like excited because, like what you said, there was such a inclusivity in, you know, you can figure out what you want to be doing, and there was like no judgment and no like pressured expectation, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a challenge. Like it was so challenging, and I remember coming out of that just sweating, and I was like trying to figure out so many things, and Ashton was there helping me out, and I didn't know like anybody, but there was already this support, you know, support from other students, from the other H1, H2, like so yeah, just like H3 is still, you know, like a really good challenging environment to be able to also test, you know, whether it's house or then we had breaking, and then you know, all of these styles, like they're done in a way that is still very challenging, and like it quenches the curiosity in a way that then I think you can figure out where you want to go, and you know, lead you towards those things that you need to already understand for H2 and H1 about yourself. So it's a really good space for that.
Oh, thank you. Want to add on to that?
Sure. I guess from the H1 perspective, I think it was an appropriate time for creating the H1, H2, H3, just because, like you're saying, we did reach a point where it's hard to cater to like 50 people, completely different ranges of experience and commitment amounts, etc. And that's natural when you have a space that's that open and inclusive, but with kind of some level of reasonable separation that there is now, it means that you can push at a higher level in H1. And for myself, I have felt that even as I have got more advanced as a dancer, and that's through hydrogen as well, I'm at a point now where even in H1 I can still be challenged from what we're doing there, because we move faster, or we are picking harder routines or harder styles to work on, or whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's quite nice that no matter what level you're at, if you're thinking of joining hydrogen, you know, you should come through and just check it out. So yeah.
No. And following on from that, definitely following on from just the reason why I wanted to again separate the cruises, or the group, is to cater to different levels of patients, and also if we're looking at special needs, it's like those that have ADHD or his autistic traits or anything else that people don't feel like they can mention in the room. More time I can see that in the space, I'm like, okay, cool. Like a lot of the old school teachings back in the day would be like everyone's treated the same, but that can't work anymore, unfortunately, because life's different, and also there's a lot more care in towards how we facilitate rooms, because again, everyone has their own upbringings in terms of being creative as opposed to going to something more academic and a bit more straightforward. When it comes to dance, it can be very off-putting for a lot of students to come to hydrogen, where it can be sometimes very militant. It's like a bit overwhelming. Do you know what I mean? So having them groups has really, one, helped me see who them people are, and two, I've noticed a lot of them are a lot more calm now and can enjoy the space in the right setting, in the right pace, and also people in them groups can relate to other people that are also maybe have the same traits as well. That makes sense. So it's opened the room to more of that. So, and I encourage it because it's a challenge for me. I want to learn and figure out how to like work with people that have some special needs, and how does it help them. Do you know what I mean? Not just the levels, but also just actual needs. So yeah.
A few years now, I've been training in hydrogen, and one thing that's really consistent for us is shows, performances. Why do you think that is? Like, why have we pushed so hard on making sure we're regularly putting some work out there, whether that's for yourself as a creative, or the collective itself, or even the people who are, on stage dancing it?
Yeah, valid question. So the reason why I like to do a lot of shows for hydrogen, the main reason was I treat it like work experience. It's like you will never really understand what I'm talking about unless you do it. So I'm like, I can always talk about being on stage, or give me facials, or bang it out, or like adrenaline, little things that we do all the time. It's like them things not everyone gets to experience and know what I'm talking about unless they do it. So the work experience was like, if you get to do one show or get to be able to like perform in front of your friends or whatever it is, that feeling of performing, everyone remembers it. Everyone remembers their first show. Everyone remembers that first time they got shook being in front of their peers and be like, oh my god, I gotta do choreography or freestyle, because it's daunting. Do you know what I mean? So like, once you do it, it stays in your mind. I don't want to do that again, or I do want to do it again. So it's like, the more I do that for people, it becomes like a bit of like a crave, like an addiction of like, I want to go on stage again and I want to perform, but I want to get better, or I want to try this next time, or like I messed up this time, but next time I might try this. It becomes a thing of like, you're getting better, but in a way of like, I just want to do it again at the same time. So it's kind of like I'm teaching, or I'm giving an opportunity for people to go on stage, and that's already in their own training or their own mind. They're already developing themselves to be better as an artist, better as a performer. From my point of view, it's a good time for me to practice my artistry on numbers that people that can deliver what I need, and maybe people that have no idea how I work. And I think that's a challenge in itself. If I always work with professional dancers for certain pieces, I will never challenge myself to be able to articulate what I need on stage. And I think that creates a good teacher and a good choreographer to be able to translate anything you need, a vision, to anybody, which is why you can work with volunteers, you can work with special needs students. Like, the more I'm challenged as a creative, the more I can articulate anything I need on stage, which helps those that are advanced. It becomes even more clear, if that makes sense. And from a crew point of view, it makes my process a lot easier. Once you understand how I work, every show becomes easier. So we can bang out a show in one rehearsal if we need to, because everyone knows my formula. It's stuff like that. It's working. It's kind of going back 4 spaces to go forward like 20, basically. And a lot of people, a lot of creatives don't like working with, don't like to give opportunities because it kind of like dilutes your creative work. Yes, but at the same time, I've given 20 people opportunities to go on stage that they may never get to do again, if that makes sense. And 5 of them might become professional because of it. So it's looking at the bigger picture, basically, pretty much.
I'm thinking of it also from, like, again, my perspective from H3 is also like, that's just giving me so many more like options and choices, like not only to be developing freestyle or ciphers in class and all of the styles that we're doing, but also be building towards something that is, like you said, like, I will figure it out in my own journey, how I want to be performing, where, like, which parts do I like, being tested as well from my point of view from your choreography and how you articulate that in one session, and then I already have to show up. So and that's really exciting because it's like there's so many options for me to be able to be growing from as well. So I think that's also one of the really amazing things of like doing more showcases and performances and opening that up to more. To all the levels as well.
Yeah, and just from both points of views as well, it's like when again I mentioned someone, I think I mentioned it to you, Leah, but like when you see your peers on stage, it's very inspiring for those that want to go back to the session and be like, okay, I want to go on stage and be like that, or I want to push myself in my own lane in what I'm doing, whether it's choreographing and dancing. But seeing your peers on stage is a different kind of feeling, do you know what I mean? And I think that's something that I experienced when I was in Boy Blue, and I used to watch a lot of the olders do shows and be like blown away. I'm like, damn, I want to do that one day. And it's like I didn't even care about choreographing, it's more so I want to be on stage. Like I just want to be able to just do that piece because it looked sick, it looked amazing, it made sense. And I think that feeling of when I got my first opportunity, even though I did shows, when I got the opportunity to perform with some of the elites in the company, it felt like I got asked to go on the Premier League Team A. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I made it. I'm off the bench, guys. Like it felt like that. So I know that feeling of like when someone gets to do their first show. It's like whether it's a good show or a community show, it's a show. Like if you're going on stage for Hydrogen, you're going on stage representing Hydrogen, representing me. That's a lot already. It is for me personally. Because from my point of view, that's my career. That's my name. So anything I put on stage, people can use that against me. So it's like it has to be either well thought out or people that are performing are of a certain caliber where one, their intellect in a way where like they understand the situation. So whether the level is not there or not, they know, professional, did the job, they performed, they left the place looking tidy, like little things like that. The people on, say, the higher rankings look at them little things. I'm like, we want them back because they gave a good show, they were polite, good energy, very supportive, and they left. Do you know what I mean? Like, them little things is what I like, and that's what's got open doors for me, and that's what I've attracted into the company, and I want to keep doing that when I do more showcases. But being able to perform at like community places allows me to get bigger shows because of the trust in the community, if that makes sense. And I think the more we do that, the more people in the scene, like you'd be surprised how many kids and parents have noticed you guys dancing on stage, and you're like, oh, I remember you. I'm like, yeah, because they're little kids, like, yeah, I want to be like that kid, I want to be like Vinu or little Esther, like, do you know what I mean? Like they're looking at these pieces and like, I remember that piece, and I'm like, oh yeah, that piece. But to them it's like their world, do you know what I mean? So like it's trying to encourage that kind of feeling for the next generation and those that are in Hydrogen to see a show and push the next gen of like Hydrogen dancers on stage pretty much. So yeah.
I have a follow-up.
Yeah.
Do you want to keep going? Do you have a dream stage for any of the members? Just for one of your creations with hydrogen shows to manifest for 2026.
I'll be honest, not necessarily. I haven't got a dream stage, but it would be lovely for us to be on like either the barbecue stage or Sad as Wells. One of them two. I think that'd be a good benchmark for Hydrogen, personally. And then who knows, after that I might look into more stages.
Yeah, Sadler Wells is especially stamina wise would be a big push. Because obviously I got to do that one with you for the youth company. Yes. That was out of nowhere when I was doing like I think I'd done my first or second ever show. It was with Hydrogen, 3-4 minutes, and then you pulled me up and it was suddenly an 8-minute piece. And this is when I was a year and a bit into dance. So my knees after that few weeks, crazy. I think I had 6 minutes of choreo to catch up in a week.
Wait, recap for the people that don't know, like me. What was this?
So this was, how long ago? Which Sadler was 2020? 2022. Yeah. Was it the 20th year anniversary one? Or was that the next year? My next year. Cool. 2022. You were doing some work with the Breaking Convention Youth Company, is that right? and I think someone dropped out last minute, and so you pinged me a message and you were like, "How old are you?" That's the first thing you asked, and I said 22, and I think the limit is 22, like on the dot. So you're like, "Oh yeah, that'll work. Squeeze him in." And then the next thing I know he sent me 4 or 5 videos and gone, "Yeah, so can you learn this for the next week?" And that was my week. Every evening I was at Monument back then before CSM was as well known, I guess. I was at Monument just banging that out, and turned up, knew the choreo. I was gonna say I knew it better than most people in the room somehow, which was crazy. But then steady, yeah. But that one was a crazy push. By the time we got to the end, I was like, my body has never done anything like this before. 8 minutes of just straight, yeah. And it's very like the Boy Blue style, where there is a heavy emphasis on that athleticism and hitting certain shapes. Don't slack on the level changes, etc. Floor work is in there, here and there. So, and that was a non-stop one. There wasn't that many points where you gave us like 2 counts of 2 eights of floating on the side or something. Nah, it was like boom, 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 just straight back to back to back. So yeah, that was crazy. No, as you were saying earlier, it's kind of crazy to think that there might be some South Asian kid in the audience watching me and being like, wow, the South Asian representation in dance, like, he's doing it, I could do it. And it's very cool to think that me or Esther or anyone could be an influence for others in that way. When you were kind of on the come up yourself, was there anyone that you think you can attribute quite a bit of influence to, either in the way you move or the way you lead hydrogen now?
Good question. As in, I've become an artist, or when you
when you were coming up, anyone who kind of affected the way you move, like, you think they left a reasonable
imprint
on how you are now?
From what I know of, I remember I did a solo, which is what got me on the radar at Boy Blue. I did a solo called The Infection. Check it out. At Boy Blue Studio Showcase. And that's the first time Kenrick Sandy saw me do like something of that caliber by myself. And it was a time when I was also sick at the time as well. And I didn't even deep how deep my piece was. That's what's even more crazy. But the audio editors did. And did that solo, did it a few times, different showcases and whatever. And then I think maybe like 2 years later in Boy Blue, obviously there was a youth, and there was like brats and blues, younger kids basically. I remember one little boy can pop hard, like small boy pops like a big man. Tricker does pretty much everything, but he's a bit troubled as well at the same time. And obviously he would train with us, like myself, Dwayne, Tanea, J Funk, like all of us would train in the foyer sometimes. And he would join us. And I remember him saying like, yeah, I was probably inspired by you. Like I did a solo based on your solo, like how many years ago. I was like, that's the first time I ever had someone tell me they watched my stuff and were like inspired. I was like, oh, people watch my stuff, like that's pretty crazy. But it didn't hit me until later on in my years of like training and teaching how much little things can affect anyone in the room. Even if you don't even ever meet them, they can watch something on YouTube in their room. I'll never see you, but they're probably banging out choreo and freestyle because of a video that I've done that I didn't even care about. But I did, but you never know. Do you know what I mean? And I've heard more of these stories now. Like did again another showcase beginning of this year, and a parent told me her child called themselves Hydra Ranger, which is where I got Hydra Ranger from. I want to be in Kelsey's crew. I want to be Hydra Ranger. I was like, I've not met this kid yet, but he's now Hydra Ranger trying to be like me. So I'm just like, what? Like, that's wild to me personally. But it's like, your mum is a dancer, but you want to be like me. That's wild. Sorry, mum. But yeah, it's like the little influences again. Do you know what I mean? And it can take one video, one performance to really influence either a parent, a child, another peer. Again, some of my boys always tell me like they're inspired by what I do with hydrogen because they're in, I guess, the same way as me, creating their legacy, trying to be an artist. But I have a crew, and that's another whole role in itself, and that's inspiring with them to know that they see me in the trenches trying to keep this company together, and they know that I'm still doing it, which is inspiring for them, because it's very easy for them to say, you know what, I'm done with this, or financially doesn't make sense. Like, I'm gonna just do something that makes more sense in my life. Whereas a lot of things I didn't make sense, but I did it anyways because I knew in the future that it will eventually, or hope that it pulls through. And I think the resilience that I had at the time has paid off now. It inspires a lot of people on our entrepreneurship. Is that even a word? Level. Yeah, like on that level. Yeah, that one. Sorry, guys. But yeah, it's looking at it from that point of view of like artist, but also I'm a brand as well. So yes, you may not want to dance like me, but you like my thought process or my mentality, stuff like that. So anything you take from me can be used for something, basically. But yeah.
I have a fan moment.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna fangirl because you're speaking about inspiring. How little moments that you just watch online. And there's this one class that I didn't go to, but I saw online that you collabed with Leroy, and it was like Leroy, sorry. And then you were dancing as well, and I didn't know you, and I didn't know you were in Hydrogen. Sorry, Esther's here, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, this is so sick. And it was dun, 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 dun. That song was so good, and then I Shazammed that song, found that song, and I was just like, oh my gosh, the musicality, the vibe. I was like, I needed to be in that class, and I just loved it, and I loved that was like a collab as well, because I could see your elements. But then I ended up taking another Leroy class, and I was like, oh, I can see how also there was those things, and it was just such a beautiful like mix. And then now I know how you dance a little bit more, and I could see how you interpreted that in your own way, and it's just a really, really inspiring. Like for me, it's in my saved. Okay, that this led to a question of like, so what where's the like Hydrogen and like open classes, and like what's the idea with like opening it to the public, and like collabs, and like you obviously bring a lot of other teachers to our classes as well. We had Amber Ray, and like what's the kind of thought process, and like where you want to go with that, so people know what to expect. I always wanted to bring guests into Hydrogen. One, because you can never learn everything from one person. That's one thing I do definitely know. And I thought, if I want to facilitate a space, let me find a way to bring people to my space rather than they go elsewhere. Does that make sense? But also from the trust of what I think will benefit them and in my journey. And I think my journey was learning from a lot of people that were either underdogs in the scene, people that knew a lot of information but would never announce it to the world. They were just, if you found them and came across them, and then you hear them talk, and you're like, you know a lot of stuff, like why are you not in bigger places? But that's how the world works, and it's like you have to search for these gems. You know what I mean? So me traveling in my first part of my years of being self-employed, I met so many great teachers and friends and trained so many different people that people don't even know about. But I know a lot of people in the industry that I would never like brag about, but I know them, and I've seen their journey themselves and how they've grown and what they know. And I'm like, now that I have a space, I can bring people to Hydrogen. And what's beautiful is the fact that I've spoken to a lot of old friends, new friends, and they all want to come to teach at Hydrogen. I'm just like, crazy. I can't afford you yet, but crazy. But like the fact that I can't afford you is amazing, because you are of quality. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I want to be able to afford you. I don't want to get mates rates. Obviously they always support me, but I want to support them as well. So I'm trying to support the crew by getting quality in, but I also want to support my artist friends by paying my teachers what they deserve. Do you know what I mean? So with the quality that they teach. And I think that's what's important right now, because again, from a more biased, selfish point of view, there's a lot of teachers that do get recognition that maybe don't deserve it just yet. And I'm like, it kind of overshadows a lot of teachers that have a lot to give and have a lot of care for the scene and the industry and where it needs to go. And I think because of how dance gets commercialized quite a lot, it's hard to find them good teachers. And I think if we can't make them be noticed elsewhere, let me bring them to my space, and hopefully they get noticed in that sense, and you guys get to experience him. You guys go to the class and get to experience Leroy or Amber elsewhere, and they get to
gain another student and another follower, another fan to appreciate their work, and then you go to a show and you see their work. Do you know what I mean? That's what I grew up on, is to support artists as much as possible. So there's never a huge ego of like, just watch my stuff. If that makes sense. I never grew up on that. I always knew that. I mean, I always like loved my mentor in terms of like what he created and what he created in the space, but I had my way of doing certain things and it didn't always resonate with what he did, but I appreciated it. But I wanted to do things like this, and I said, I'm gonna go and do this over here and appreciate this when I go over there, and that's what I did. And I think that's what makes us different, is I bring in certain energies into hydrogen, and I think people are starting to realize that. So
I think something that a lot of people don't realize or don't know about you is that you are the artistic director of Hydrogen. That one they know. But alongside that, you also have your own individual dance career. You're a massage therapist and a father, all of that, which is crazy enough as it is, but I'm guessing there's a few more that no one's heard of that you're also secretly doing behind the scenes. And so my question is, how do you manage to find a balance in these things currently? And as for second question, after you answered the first one, is I think a lot of dancers these days are realizing that the industry does pay, they can find work, but it may not be the only thing they want to rely on. Yes. Especially because sometimes, often payments can come late, bookings don't come as regularly as you might need to pay rent, and so people are definitely looking for more than one avenue of making revenue, but perhaps using skills that are close to their dance. And I think you serve as a good example of someone who's done that, especially with something like massage therapy. How would you recommend people sort of get into that or explore that as well? I don't know which question you want to take first, but
first one, how do I manage everything? Balance everything. I think, I mean, the ultimate answer is the fact that I have a child kind of speaks for itself. Like, I have to look after a child, so there's no other option, if that makes sense. And it's like, and what's nice as well is the fact that now that she's old enough to see what I'm doing, she also appreciates that she doesn't know what it is, but she knows I'm teaching, I'm hosting the space. So that in itself is the motivation, but also the motivation to keep my child alive at the same time. Do you know what I mean? So it's like both of them is like, I guess, the adrenaline of keeping me going. If that makes sense. Yes, I get tired, and yes, it's very, very, very hard, and almost sometimes it feels like it's impossible. But it's like, when I look at the outcomes, it's like, who wouldn't want the outcomes from it? If that makes sense. And I feel like, again, coming from I'd say a generation of like working smarter, not harder. I kind of did both. I worked smart, but also I worked hard while working smart. If that makes sense. I didn't want to take too many breaks, because if I mentally had an idea, I'm gonna go and do it or write it down and then sort it out tomorrow, or I'll do it now. It's like I didn't want to wait on anyone because no one waited on me, kind of thing. And I think that's what encouraged me to manage fatherhood, manage a company, manage my own career. And I think that's what's inspiring Hydrogen, the fact that I'm still active in my career. It shows I can do my freelance artist, as in perform, choreograph, and do things outside of Hydrogen, and still give my 100% energy to Hydrogen as well, and then go home and make sure my child is fine. And that's what is. I mean, a lot of parents have messaged me asking me the same thing, like, how do you do it? I'm just like, there's no real answer to how. I don't really know how I'm doing it, and there is times where, like, this year has been very, very hard, where I've struggled mentally to kind of organize my life a little bit. As Hydrogen has grown, as my daughter has grown, as my career has got better, it's like, okay, I'm running out of days, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's what hours are like, I need like 4 more Sundays. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, where do I put certain things, and when do I prioritize certain things? And that's when I started to prioritize people. It's like, who's putting time into me? And I'm like, okay, cool. If people are prioritizing me, I'm prioritizing you. And that's where it came down to, like, black and white. If I get your energy, cool. If I don't, all love, I will see you when I see you, kind of thing. And that's where I put my energy in. It's like, my daughter obviously gives me 100%. I give her 100%. Those that support Hydrogen, 100%. Those that don't, you won't see me until you see me kind of thing. And that's what's kept me positive and kept my momentum to what's next. And I feel like if it doesn't serve me well, then I move away with peace, rather than like being petty about it, or kind of have a negative energy towards anything or anyone, because that's energy in itself, and it wastes your energy on the things that you actually need to focus on. And if I need to vent, I'll put it in a piece. Do you know what I mean? Skepta. Do you know what I mean? Full circle. Do you know? Alright, it's coming. It's heavy as well. But yeah, like, and it's just kind of being smart with the artistry, basically. So yeah, that's how I managed that. In what's the second question again? Sorry.
The second question was around how can dancers of today find the sort of secondary or tertiary avenues to generate some income, or even just develop a skill set alongside dance as well.
I think it's like mind mapping your life. It's like, what are you doing right now? Like, what are you good at? What do you like? What don't you like? And I feel like what's crazy is I did a PT course at the very beginning of 2020, before lockdown, and I said to myself, 1 month I'm gonna study and do a PT course. I'm not gonna dance. If I get a job, I'm not gonna take it. And I got a job. I didn't take it. And I was like, proud of myself, but it was a pretty big job. I was like, no, I'm gonna finish this course. I'm gonna pass it. I passed it. Then I got offered another job after that, and that was basically the R&D for Free Your Mind, which is a Matrix production that happened in Manchester. And I was like an R&D for like 2 weeks. I got on the job, had a qualification for PT. I just got signed to be an ambassador for Nike. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, qualified for PT, Nike ambassador, whilst dancing. This is on the back burner. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna use it right now, but I'm gonna get into it at some point. And obviously, lockdown just came out of nowhere. Obviously, I was halfway through a job. Job got cancelled. Everyone had to be stay home in quarantine. All I had left was my PT qualification, because no one was dancing, no one was teaching. So, but people were still doing fitness, and Nike were doing things online, and they were paying. So I was like, okay, like, damn. So it kind of fell into my lap of like, okay, this PT thing was a smart move. Let me run with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, let me just try and see what I can do, whether it's teach, let me do more sessions, let me do more content in the time that I have off. And while doing that, I was like, cool, like, I need equipment. So I got a job in Tesco. I went to Tesco for like literally 6 months. Just saved up and bought myself a new laptop, because it died literally in lockdown. I was like, okay, cool, got a new laptop, got loads of PT equipment, and just trained clients in the park. And I was like, let me make some money. And I did that online, did it in the park, while dance was still empty. All dancers were at the time were on universal credit, and you got like a certain amount of money every month. For me, that wasn't enough. I was like, I need to make more money than this. Like, I don't want to rely on this. I'm gonna forget that and just get a job and make double that, triple that, and also keep myself busy at the same time and help the community at the same. Like, all the things that I just saw was more beneficial than just being at home, which is no respect to anyone else, but it wasn't serving me well. And I think that in itself put my mind into a new hustle mentality of like, I'm not just relying on dance. Even though I love it, I'm not just relying on it. But if I'm going to do this dance thing correctly, then we make sure that whatever's around me can support it. And I think that's why hydrogen was created in lockdown, which is why I became a PT in lockdown, and why massage came into my mind during that year, because like, PT is great, but I didn't really enjoy it. I just wanted to be qualified to understand more about the body, how I can teach it in certain sessions, how I can condition certain dances safely. I always noticed a lot of teachers were doing kind of bad stretches and workouts in classes. I'm like, it's my lord, 5 minutes. Yeah, don't know what they're doing, but it's like, it just bothered my spirit. I was like, let me go and learn about it properly. And then obviously recovery massage was like, they was doing a course of massage. It was longer, but I was like, you know what? I can't see us coming out of lockdown anytime soon, so let me go and study again, innit? So
COVID really forced it into you.
Forced.
To be more
open out,
professional,
literally.
in a sense.
Longevity. I was like, what if dance doesn't come back? What it was, I knew it was gonna come back eventually, but I didn't think it would be the same. So I was like, well, already I'm thinking about other avenues, and that's how I've always been. It's like, what's next, and it happens in dance. I always thinking about what I'm doing next in dance, but with life in general, we're gonna get older, we're gonna have a family. If you want to have a family, how are you gonna support that, and how are you gonna start saving and mentality and whatever? So that was me telling myself, yeah, let me create a foundation of like making sure something can support something else. And that's what became like my triangle of like PT, dance and massage. And them three support each other, became amazing, which allowed me to then, if I want to go to studio and train, I'm gonna go and do that, because I didn't feel like I was dancing much anymore. And then that's how the hydrogen story came about. So it all kind of like knocked into the fact that I can go do conditioning and fitness, work on like things that I trained in PT in my sessions on my own, while obviously helping others at the same time, and also let people know that I'm a PT and a massage therapist, which people spread the word around to then me becoming that guy that's the fitness guy in dance. And it became a little thing of like, after like 2022, I think people thought, do you still dance? I'm like, yeah, I still dance. I'm still working, bro. Like, but it got to the point where people thought I was just a PT and a massage therapist. I'm like, they didn't see much dance, but obviously social media is social media. But I was working all the time in dance, but it was like, I was known for that, which is what I respected, and I think that helped me being like legit in my field of fitness and massage. No one thought, I'm just a dancer trying to do fitness. No, I do fitness and I do massage well. Do you know what I mean? And I can, if I put dance aside, I can go into doing more of it. That makes sense. And I think that gave this industry more trust in what I do, which is why all three of them financially can help me out if I was to put more time into it, of course, but they will help each other out basically. And yeah, I think that, I guess, keeps my career afloat, and it keeps everything else I'm building afloat, and it should inspire a lot of new artists, because I know nowadays it's a lot easier to do a lot of content creating and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to just, not an easier route, because content creating is not easy, and therefore for sure, but it's a lot of patience. But I like to do things, I like to physically, manually do things myself. So that's what works for me, and I feel like if people are gonna make money and make a living off of something they're doing, then if you're doing, for example, a podcast, what are you doing outside of that to support the podcast, and vice versa? Are you learning? Are you journaling? Are you doing things that can gain you more information about your industry or your scene? Because the more you know, the more you can do with it, the more money you can make. If you want to make money, the more connections you can make, the more you have a base foundation for the longevity in your career and your brand. So that's what I'm seeing basically. And yeah, big up to Flow that as well, because this one's got a new company, a new little app. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna come out. Don't worry, it's come out already, but you're gonna see it.
I have a follow up for that. Sorry. Skirt. Yeah. Ladies first. No, just the follow up, because it sounds like all of these like different revenues are feeding into each other really well for you. And we've had sessions in class as well where we like talk about how do we do this, and people are asking whether it's a guest lecturer or yourself, like how do we balance all of these things. It's a lot of like physically demanding jobs, and I'm not even in the position where I'm doing that yet, but I'm already feeling like, when there's an injury, it's like, oh my god, my brain is catastrophizing. This is the end. I'm not going to be able to dance anymore. That's it. I've reached the peak. 27 is it. And obviously, like, that's not to say that, if you do an office job and you're always sitting down and like that, feeds better into the dance or whatever. But I guess it's just like, what, how do you manage your like rest and just injuries and like keeping this feeding these avenues feeding each other without like overgoing something that your body isn't ready for physically yet. Like massage is very physical, like PT, all of that. And like keeping on pushing that physical boundary, so you're still growing physically without actually ending up going into like a burnout, which then will affect all of your avenues of
no, valid question again. And to be fair, like I maybe have like 2 burnouts a year, but it always happens in a standard. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? But honestly, like it's like I know when I'm gonna have a burnout, or I know when it's approaching, so I know how to deal with it before it gets to that point where I'm like, don't talk to me for like a day or two, because I know I'm done, like mentally and physically. But it happens at a time where things are being supported. So Leah had been helping with my marketing, and it came at a good time when so Leah is should we call marketing manager? You will see her somewhere on these socials.
Her face is right here, right now.
Do you know what I mean? It's right here. Leah. It came at a good time because I don't necessarily like doing social media anymore. So it really came at a great time of like supporting that, and that's what really helped mentally. Because if I was to just be doing social media for myself and hydrogen, I will never leave my phone. And I feel like that wasn't anything. That wasn't no justice to my artistry, to my mental being, to me giving energy back to hydrogen, my daughter, my partner, to my friends. Like, and again, we all know social media can be very, very toxic as well. So it's like the more I see, the more I don't want to do because I'm over everyone. Do you know what I mean? Where it shouldn't be. I like that. I should be able to go on it, be inspired. Okay, put my phone away and done. And I think that in itself, really, what's it called? Which question again?
Burnout.
Yes.
Injuries
and it taught me to, when I had my first few burnouts, I think was maybe the end 2022, yeah. Because when we came back from lockdown, everyone was doing the most. It was like, oh, we can work again. It was just that. No one ever stopped for like a year and a half. And I think at the end of that year, I think my body just caved in. I got sick. I had a fever. I was done. And yeah, like I said, I couldn't do anything. I was like, this can't happen again, because if I'm tired, it lags. Because now that I've got a child, if I'm tired, I'm staying tired. Do you know what I mean? So I need to find a day to like sleep at some point. And I knew when I had my daughter, I didn't sleep for like properly for 3 or 4 months, and that was just me. And I'll say borderline depression. When you don't sleep, that's depressing as hell. Like, you can't focus, you don't like anything, you don't want to do nothing. And I will never say I'm depressed, because that's a very strong word. So for me to say that I was even close to it just from not sleeping was a lot. So I think, one, from doing the PT stuff and massage therapy, I know sleep is very, 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 very important in part of like making sure things get done. If I get my 8 hours or 7 hours, I'm happy. If I don't get it, I'm miserable. I'm like, no, I need to sleep. So social life was a lot less than before. So I made sure if I'm gonna go out, it's for a right reason or a celebration, or I'll just prioritize when I go out, if I could go out, that is. Things are like health, so eating well, and just when I would have a drink, for example, because when I have a drink now anyways, it's like it will affect me for 4 or 5 days. So I'm like, I've got to think about when I have a drink. Do you know what I mean? Alcoholic drink, by the way. And it's like the little things that we won't necessarily think about on a regular basis, I'm thinking about, just because it can tap into how I teach one day. If someone bothers my spirit, whether it's friend, family, whatever it is, I've got to think about, okay, when am I going to go and take space for me to either let it go or express myself in a way where it's conductive to the people in the room. Because I don't want to pass on bad energy, because it makes your energy a lot worse than it already is, and then that's going to ruin your flow of motivation or inspiration in creating work, going to work, talking to somebody about something. It's like it all just knocks off each other basically. So when it comes to burnout, I just try to avoid it as much as possible, because it just does not help or serve my life whatsoever. And this week, funny enough, it was the first time I felt like I'm done, but I wasn't burnt out, but my body was on its way, and I sorted myself out. I got a massage yesterday, and that helped a lot. And I think also just the fact that I've even put time in my schedule to say I'm done. Do you know what I mean? So prioritizing schedule and time as well, making sure that that's like, I'm not doing this for these days. That makes sense. So
for aspiring dancers, because it's very easily like, we're like, oh my god, there's all this stuff we want to do, everything, and then classic will just get to that burnout, and then it's such a shame, because we still want to be having the time to explore and play with all of those options. Like, that's where we are, like we're figuring it out. Like hearing you speak is like, actually you need to train knowing when you're about to reach that moment, and knowing those like
preparing for that moment. Yeah.
And those little like, oh, that's the trigger that's telling me, okay, now I need the massage.
Yes.
Now I need to actually sleep more. Because we're here for the long run. So
Exactly.
so yeah, do you have any other advice for aspiring dancers? And then maybe Vinu, last question.
Yeah. I mean, just following from that and just kind of wrapping up that as well for other aspiring dancers is the fact that I did PT, massage, I also dance, I have a child. It's like all these different lanes have taught me to, like, again, it's talking about prioritizing time, communication, your energy, knowledge. All these things are very, very important if you use it correctly. And I think the conditioning in my mind and conditioning the body to be able to withstand this career has been very, very helpful. Having a strong unit and a strong community, a strong team is very important. You can't do everything by yourself. All these things I've learned and been okay with, and I think that's the one thing that a lot of things that I push nowadays is you have to do everything by yourself. No, you can get help. You are allowed to have help, and it's okay as long as you appreciate the help and you support that person back, and things all grow together. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, just making sure those that are, again, working towards coming to hydrogen or training in dance or want to just become a better dancer, just look around you and see who's around you that's supporting you. Look around and see what's inspiring you. Write it down, take it in. Don't have your own voice. That's the first thing as well. Like, make sure that whatever you hear, take it with a pinch of salt, write it down, hear another view, and then you can start to decide like where you feel you sit correctly with, because everyone can be right, everyone can be wrong. Do you know what I mean? So it's just taking things to what resonate with you the most, and that's what I've learned the most, is saying yes and no to things has saved my life so many times, because the more I said yes, the worse I felt, and that's the biggest thing for me. So yeah, knowing to say yes and no.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for sitting here and being okay with all of our quizzing and our interviewing. For anyone who's listened all the way through, thank you very much for our first episode of our hydrogen podcast ever.
Boom. And hopefully more to come.
Yeah. I've been Vinu, Kelsey, Danny. Check us out. We've got Leah and Esther behind the scenes as well. Thank you very much for all your hard work today as well. Check out all the tags in the description. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz. Episode 2 is coming soon.
Coming soon. All right, boss.